Hello everyone, welcome to CNA, the daily newspaper analysis. So today we are back with the following list of topics to discuss. So let's start. The first topic says about surveillance upon NGOs. So recently we have seen that this non-profit charge centers with withholding information on scale of its surveillance programs, union government added to respond within 6 weeks. So यहाँ पे what is basically an NGO? So we know that is an NGO which is to be told as non-governmental organizations. So the World Bank defines the NGO as a private organization that pursue activities to relieve suffering, promote the interest of the poor, protect the environment, provide basic social services, or undertake community development. So therefore, they are considered to be non-state, non-profit oriented groups who pursue purpose of public interest. So there is a long history of India coming up with this NGOs. Okay, and there are various number of phases that we can see with respective to NGOs. So the registration of these NGOs mainly comes under three segments, basically societies, trust, and charitable companies. So if I see about the societies, so they will be registered under the Societies Registration Act of 1860. If they are in trust, they would be registered under the central government's India's Trust Act of 1882. And if they are charitable companies, they are all set up according to the Companies Act of 2013. So now who regulate these NGOs? So Foreign Contribution Regulation Act FCRA and Foreign Exchange Management Act FEMA are amongst the most important laws connected with this NGOs. So therefore यहाँ पे जो सर्विलेंस थे एनजीओस के तरफ सेंटर के द्वारा, तो यहाँ पे इसके लिए एक इशू चल रहा है और अभी एनजीओस के द्वारा पूछा गया है कि आपके तरफ जो सर्विलेंस थे इसका रिप्लाई दीजिए ऑन द स्केल ऑफ सर्विलेंस प्रोग्राम्स दैट यू आर यूजिंग विद रिस्पेक्टिव टू द एनजीओस, because we could see that monitoring and evaluation is important for these NGOs, because these NGOs may directly term to become non-worthy in some point of time and can also be some of the cause of extortion problem in our country. So today the role of NGOs in our societies are very much, because they act as service contractors, they brings accountability and transparency to the governance, they also act as human rights watchdog in the society, and also they can act as channels for donors to provide international development funds to low income countries or even the developing countries. But today we could see various number of issues associated with these NGOs, such as the misappropriation of funds, the external issue of funding, non-accountable, non-transparent, and undemocratic functioning, as well as we can see cases of money laundering. So therefore, the government is coming up time by time with various other mandates to control these NGOs so that they could perform it better. तो उसी के बेसिस पे यहाँ पे पूछा गया है सेंटर के एनजीओस के द्वारा सेंटर को कि आपके द्वारा जो सर्वेलेंस यहाँ पे किया जा रहा है तो उसका बेसिस पे आपको क्या निकाला है कि लाइक हाउ दिस एनजीओस टुडे इन आवर कंट्री इज परफॉर्मिंग, तो उसका रिपोर्ट दीजिए. तो इट शुड बी रिपोर्ट शुड बी पब्लिश्ड विद इन द पीरियड ऑफ 6 वीक्स. तो इसी के बेसिस पे यहाँ पे रिस्पॉन्ड करने बोला है, तो देखते हैं रिस्पॉन्ड के बेसिस पे क्या आता है और तब अगर ये इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूज बना तो हम लोग फिर से उसको डिस्कस करेंगे. चलो नेक्स्ट पे आता है. तब तक COVID-19 and girls education. So we have seen that in the recent COVID-19 pandemic, the girls education has become a sight of the hour in every states and cities of our country. अभी यहाँ पे एक रिपोर्ट आया है, एक स्टडी किया था, and in this study it has been said that COVID-19 did not force girls to exit schools early, and therefore schools have been successful in retaining students at the secondary level. So today if you see about the number of girls who are out of the schools continue to decline across age group. So according to the annual school education report, we have seen that such number of peoples have not stood out just because of COVID pandemic. Though we have seen various instances. Supposedly, if I take the example of an 18-year-old girl, Nisha, who was giving her class 12 board exams in Delhi, Sahdara, when the nationwide lockdown was announced. So just like all other activities, exams were also stopped. First postponed and later cancelled out. So after that, she felt that the pandemic would put a hold on her dream to study further as her father lost his job. So Nisha's father, who was working as a security guard at the private farm in Gurugram, lost his job, and the family was surviving on their savings for almost a year. So therefore, she said that we had no money to even buy food on some days, forgetting about getting into a college. And I was told by my parents that I would not be able to continue my studies. And whatever money they had was required for my brother's education. So while Nisha's two brothers returned to schools after the state government allowed education institution to reopen, she attended free teaching classes by an NGO in her neighborhood. So therefore, you can see the plight of girls in such areas who have faced such number of crises. Another girl, if I come around, Rani, who also faced the same situation. So these are some of the stories which I want to share with you. So you could see that her mother also expresses her helplessness over the situation. And she said that she also wanted her to study further, but her hands were tied. So her husband got a job after lockdown, but his salary is half the amount that he was getting earlier. So therefore, like Rani and Nisha, the dreams of aspirations of thousands of girls took a backseat at their family's income level dropped amid the COVID-19 pandemic. And therefore, we could see that there are various number of gender bias that can be seen because of this pandemic. तो अभी ये स्टडीज के द्वारा बोला गया है कि it did not force girls to exit school early because of the conditions that were prevailing around them. And therefore, we could see that today, every areas has got some of the good amount of gender specificity with respective to the things that is of the higher dropping of girls. ये सब हम लोग आजकल बहुत कम देखने को मिलता है. ओके, सो देयरफॉर यहाँ पे ये केस नहीं था, तो उसी के बेसिस पे ये रिपोर्ट था. इसमें ज्यादा जानने लायक कुछ नहीं है. बस यू हैव टू नो अबाउट द कॉम्प्लिकेशंस दैट द गर्ल्स हैव फेस्ड from the lower strata of the society about their respective education during the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, next पे आते हैं women officers in command soon. So recently what we have seen that the women officers, a total of 244 of them are being considered by the army for promotion to the rank of lieutenant colonel to colonel against 108 vacancies, and the first stage of such postings is expected by January end. So therefore selection is expected to ensure gender parity as they will be posted to command assignments. So today, the army has begun to give the women the role of commanding officers. Okay, and therefore, a total of 244 women officers are being considered for promotion. And that includes every number of areas or corps, be it the engineers, be it the signals, be it the Army Air Defense, be it the Intelligence Corps, be it the Army Service Corps, be it the Ordnance Corps, and electrical and mechanical engineers. So in all other activities, we could see that women will directly perform the command position soon. तो इसी के बेसिस पे यहाँ पे ये न्यूज में थे. तो recently it was declared by the respective central government. Okay, on the basis of the recommendations performed by the Supreme Court judgment earlier in this respective year. Okay, चलो next पे आते हैं National Export Cooperative Society. So what is this National Export Cooperative Society? So the nano fertilizers produced by the IFFCO and the dairy products from Amul, okay, will be amongst the first few products that are expected to be exported by the first ever National Export Cooperative Society. Okay, so if you see about this one, that is the National Export Cooperative Society, it is through some of the programs we could see that this nano fertilizers would be transported to some of the areas where it has not been done in the coming times. Okay, so if I see about this National Export Cooperative Society, okay, so this National Cooperative Export Cooperative Society, the society will have an authorized share capital of around 2,000 crore, so that it will have an area of operation all over the country. Okay, so therefore this National Export Cooperative Society, they will directly work, okay, in different export promotion council under the Ministry of Commerce, and the society will provide end-to-end services to the cooperatives under their respective segments. तो यहाँ पे बहुत सारे कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज होते हैं, जैसे कंज्यूमर्स कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज होते हैं, फार्मर्स कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज होते हैं, मार्केटिंग के होते हैं, कोऑपरेटिव्स हाउसिंग के होते हैं, क्रेडिट के होते हैं, प्रोड्यूसर्स के होते हैं, यहाँ पे सब होते हैं. तो उन्हीं के बेसिस पे यहाँ पे जो आज नैनो फर्टिलाइजर्स ट्रांसफर करेंगे फ्रॉम एक्सपोर्ट करेंगे हम, ओके, उसी के बेसिस पे ये न्यूज में थे, बिकॉज दे विल डायरेक्टली कंट्रीब्यूट एंड एड अपॉन to the export potential of our country. And therefore, the Union Cabinet approved the setting up of this multi-state society so that they could go for various other respective purpose associated with the export items made by our respective country. ओके चलो नेक्स्ट पे आते हैं फ्रांस पेंशन प्रोटेस्ट। तो यहाँ पे सिंस इन लोग का 2 साल बढ़ा दिया गया है तो फ्रांस में अभी दंगा फसाद हो गया है। देख लो क्या हाल है फ्रांस में। ओके इन द कैपिटल सिटी ऑफ पेरिस ओके वी कुड सी प्रोटेस्ट हैज डायरेक्टली रेज डाउन बिकॉज यहाँ पे उन लोग का जो 2 साल है वो बढ़ा दिया गया है। ठीक है सो द लेजिस्लेशन विल रिक्वायर फ्रांस सिटीजंस टू वर्क अंटिल 64। आज 62 है तो इनको 2 साल बढ़ा दिया गया है 64। तो आज लोग रिटायर करेंगे 64 में तो उसी के बेसिस पे इनको काम करने का मन नहीं है। एंड दिस लेजिस्लेशन हैज डायरेक्टली मेक सम ऑफ द स्पर ऑफ वायलेंस इन दिस रेस्पेक्टिव कंट्री। ओके सो टुडे वी कुड सी दैट अगर एक आदमी को पेंशन चाहिए तो उसको 64 ईयर्स तक काम करना पड़ेगा तभी जाके उसको पेंशन मिलेगा और एल्स पेंशन नहीं मिलेगा। तो इसी के बेसिस पे यहाँ पे ये लोग के ऊपर गुस्सा है। तो देखो अभी फिलहाल यहाँ पे क्या होता है। तो इसी के बेसिस पे यहाँ पे न्यूज में थे क्योंकि अभी देख लो दूसरे स्टेट्स के बारे में भी बोला गया है यहाँ पे कि स्पेन में 65 है, यूके में 67 है। ठीक है और अभी तो जर्मनी भी सोच रहा है कि कैसे हम लोग 67 से लेके 70 तक बढ़ा ले। तो इसीलिए फ्रांस भी सोच रहे थे लेकिन यहाँ पे उल्टा पड़ा। तो देखो अभी यहाँ पे इन फ्यूचर क्या होता है। ओके नेक्स्ट पे आते हैं लास्टली एडिटोरियल जजिंग अ डिकेड ऑफ द पोक्सो एक्ट। So we see that November 14, 2022, it marked the completion of a decade of an enactment of the Indian Legislation Protection of Children for Sexual Offences Act of 2012. Okay, so the article of this one written by R.K. Veej, okay, who was a former Special Director General of Police of Chhattisgarh. So he has written that it reflects upon how far this legislation has been able to meet its objectives and suggest manner by which criminal justice system responds to child sexual abuse and it can be betterly improved. Okay, so we know about the POCSO Act, which was designed to protect children aged less than 18 from any type of sexual assault. Okay, so we know that the salient features of this respective act being gender neutral laws. Okay, anyone who is directly sexually offended under this law, it may be a male, it may be a female, so they could be easily under this respective law. Also, we could see about the no time limit for reporting abuse, mandatory reporting, and safeguard to even the victims. The act, which was amended for the first time in 2019 for enhancing the punishment for specific offenses in order to deter abusers and ensure a dignified childhood. So, इसको amend किया गया था. Also, it includes death penalty for aggravated penetrative sexual assault. Also, it would provide for levy of fines and imprisonment up to 20 years to curb child pornography. So now we could see that यहाँ पे जो पोक्सो रूल्स है 2020 के अंदर इसमें बहुत सारे क्लॉज भी ऐड किया गया था जैसे मैंडेटरी पुलिस वेरिफिकेशन, सेंसिटाइजेशन, पॉलिसी फ्रेमवर्क, सपोर्ट पर्संस, इन सब को ऐड किया गया था. And therefore, today we could see that there are various number of implementation hurdles in this POCSO Act. So today, a study of what the better performing states are doing right can help evolve certain best practices that can be adopted by other states. So therefore, adopting best practices is the need of the hour with respect to this POCSO Act. Legislative changes must need also be there so that we could make some of the constraints that we can see today in our POCSO Act so that the approaches of all can be fit in this respective option. So if we need to gather some of the good evidence, if you need to have some of the uniformities, if you need to have some of the comprehensive outreach system, we need to educate children with the proper legislation and offer. We should make the fast track courts to go ahead with this respective POCSO Act, and in number of cases associated with POCSO cases could be dealt with an objectivity. तो यहाँ पे इसी के बारे में जो पोक्सो एक्ट है, हियर अबाउट्स, इफ्स एंड बट्स, पॉजिटिव्स, नेगेटिव्स, उसी को यहाँ पे डिस्कस किया गया है इन दिस एडिटोरियल. Okay, so POCSO Act becomes very important even for our exam purposes. Okay, so that is all with the editorial. So we have this 5 MCQs. Please do attempt these MCQs and do join our WhatsApp and Telegram channel for further updates. Also do join us live at 8:45 p.m. sharp every day to go ahead with the past 25 years question papers of UPSC or APSC. So that's all for today from my side. Thank you and Jai Hind.